Okay, this video is for you out there who want to have an opening repertoire that is up to date, and it's not so easy. So what are you doing right now to keep up to date? Did you buy a Chessable course? Did you read a book? Did you play through some games? Did you see a lot of videos here on GM Talks? Because we have not provided a complete opening repertoire. So today I'm going to show you how I try to keep up to date in the weekly grind, especially if you don't have much time, as I unfortunately don't have. It's a good idea to do it this way. So every Tuesday on This Week in Chess, the weekly trick arrives. And that's a collection of all the recent games played in that week. And it unfortunately also contains a lot of blitz games, which is a little bit of a problem because they are not the same quality as classical games. Anyway, what I do, and we're going to go back to the game Boruchovsky Jobava later, is I go into the trick, and just going to see here how I do that. I'm going to do here, and then I'm going to switch the scene like this here. And what I have done with this trick that contains, I think, 6,000 games. So that's a lot of games. I know some players go through all the games. I don't do that. I only go through what's interesting for me or what interests me at the moment. And as in the former video, we are at the moment working on the Caro-Kann. So how do we do that? We go into the trick, and then I would usually sort them by search for the ECO-code B10 to B19, and that's the code for the Caro-Kann. And I know that because when I grew up, we didn't have ChessBase and stuff. We had Informator, and that was the code they use in the Encyclopedia of Chess Openings, which is the driest book you can buy. Anyway, so we are here in the trick, and I just have to find my way through. This one was here, yeah. So here I just sorted it by what time they were played, but you can also sort it by eco, and we can see that here we have B10 to B19. We can also have to reverse it, and we see that Black is doing okay in B19. I know that B19 is this opening like this, but that's not what we are interested in at the moment. Maybe we'll be later. We can also see that B17 is, and you should know these codes, maybe is knight d7. It's another line. Okay, so that's what I look at. So okay, let's see here. What I look at is there any of these codes that stand out? One thing you could do is you can just do statistics, and you'll get this one. You will not get that one because it doesn't work on the video. But the thing is, Black scores 52.5% with the Caro-Kann, so, and is having an over performance. So in general, the Caro-Kann is doing very well. Anyway, so let's take a look here. I would look at the B codes, and I will see that okay, suddenly White wins a lot of game in B10. Why is that? That's the D3, that's different lines here, and then I will look at what line it is, and I will say, okay, maybe this is interesting. What does Bortnik do against the Caro-Kann? He plays C4. What does Moskalenko do? What does Derch do? He's strong. He plays this line. I'm not so afraid of that line. Anyway, Isipenko wins against Keimer. He also wins with this line. Interesting. Okay, another thing you could do is you could say, okay, Elo White. Then you'll get, and we see that rating does matter in the Caro-Kann because White is scoring well when they have a very high rating. We can see that Caruana wins against Anton Guyaro, Aronian wins against Kostonyuk, and of course that's rapid games, but still, and Dubov, and you can see, and what I would generally do is I'll look at these opening and say, how do they match up to my opening repertoire? If, for instance, I have bought the Lars Shandorf book on the Caro-Kann, and I have decided to play that repertoire, I would take a look at the games played, because I know that other people have looked at this book and will try to improve on White's game. So you out there is a sitting duck if you only got what's in the book, if you're a grandmaster. If you are in that lucky situation where things that are in books are hidden from everybody else because they don't read them, then good luck to you. Just go and play what's in the book. That's usually the case, but on grandmaster level, unfortunately, it's not the case. Anyway, so I will say here, what do they do? Okay, so Wesley So plays against Guerrero. He plays this line and blah blah blah, and Wesley So is a very strong. So how do they play? They play like this, okay, and I think this is in the Shanov book, and this position, and he sacrifices a pawn and he wins it back, and yeah, and here you can take a5, you can take c5 or something, and anyway, So didn't think he could, but that's also knight d7. I don't know. Anyway, that's one way to look. So you will go through, you'll take a look at all these things, and you will check them out with the book and say, what did the great players play? But we also see that none of them here that are the highest rated, they don't play the main lines. They play something like, yeah, this move, which is weird. They play, okay, this e5 is apparently, and knight d2 is apparently quite critical. So I would take a good look at that. That's a pointer. You're looking for what are the best players doing. What does Van Forest do? He plays this move. So, okay. That's another version of the d3 line. I had some guy play this against me in blitz, and I thought, well, it looks weird. But anyway, this you can just sense on principle that this is not the reputation of the Caro-Kann. It might be annoying and it might be difficult, and I'm going to come with the 5 golden rules of the Caro-Kann, and one of the rules in the Caro-Kann is that all lines are dangerous, because the position is very rich, so you can lose against everything. It doesn't mean it's good, it means that it's just everything can be dangerous. And this can also be dangerous because they, of course, have some ideas. Anyway, we see that apparently there's not, on here we have this knight d2 again. So that's kind of, and this Jeffrey Xiong plays it, and here Sweetler wins against Guerrero. So, okay, knight d2 is apparently serious stuff. Here we see that Diaz loses this way. What does Gawain Jones? He plays this line, but doesn't do very well with that. Anyway, Tari, who's also playing the Caro-Kann as black, is playing this line against Bluebaum. Anyway, that's how you go through the lines. You just look at what the good players are doing. Okay, so this was with ELO highest rated White. And by the way, I sorted them so it was only players above 2300. And that's not because people below 2300 does not know any openings or cannot play chess. It's just because you can see here there are so many games already with the Caro-Kann just from this past week, that and that's only players above 2300. So it would be a lot of work if we have to go through all of the games. So I'm deciding, okay, if someone with below 2300 is going to play something serious, it's gonna tickle up to the highest level and they're gonna play it. They are catching on new ideas very fast, so they will show you in the top rating, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, if it's played in correspondence games, it's gonna show up here. Anyway, of course, if you're really serious, you're gonna study everything, but most of us don't have the time. Then you can also take ELO black and say, okay, what does who's the best players? We can see that Dubov is playing it, but okay, he's playing knight a6 here, so he's just having fun. Fedosev is playing it, Van Forest, Anton Goyaro, Ivanchuk, Xiong, and we see that even when they're the strongest players are black, they're not doing fantastic, but okay, Tari here is doing good. Bloombaum is losing some games against the strong players and winning against the weaker players, very natural. And so on, and Rasmus Svane is doing well. See that, and also here you see who you find the heroes. We know that Rasmus Svane is a strong Caro-Kann player. Bloombaum is a strong Caro-Kann player. Keimer is a strong Caro-Kann player. Tari is a strong Caro-Kann player. Gayaro is a strong player. And especially Dreev, who's played the Caro-Kann his whole life, is a strong Caro-Kann player. So I would look at all the games they play, because you know they know what they are doing. Also, Donchenko here is a strong player who plays well in the Caro-Kann. So I would go through all the games with the heroes, and then I'm gonna match it up with my repertoire and say, okay, or trying to find maybe some new ideas, or seeing if something is critical in one of the lines. And you do that every week, usually on Tuesday, because that's when the trick arrives. Anyway, while going through these games, having a look, I found a nice game, and we're gonna see that as the finish here. It's not gonna be in detail. It was a blitz game, so we're gonna treat it like a blitz game. And by the way, here you have me back with my face on here, and it's one of my favorite players and a very nice guy, Baadur Jobava, also a big personality, who's playing the black pieces against Boruchovsky, and it was from the title Tuesday, so we should not take it too seriously. Anyway, we have the Caro-Kann. By the way, Baadur is, he told me that it was a funny name. Nobody else is called Baadur in Georgia. It was his father who thought it was a great name. So it was, it's kind of a cool name. Anyway, and all people in Georgia play the Caro-Kann. It's some part of what you must do to be a real Georgian chess player. You can just check it out. All the best Georgian players have played the Caro-Kann, from Asmaisparas really to Jobava and so on. They all have this on their repertoire. It's part of the inheritance. Okay. And this is the advanced variation. Like I said, you can choose between bishop f5 and c5, which is another move. Bishop f5 is, of course, the principal move in the Caro-Kann, and e6. And so here we have it. And in principle, black has a great French with the bad bishop outside the pawn chain. And of course, he just had to give up one lousy little tempo to get it, but it's not so clear. And nowadays, the space advantage is being appreciated more than it used to be. I remember that Karpov and Larsen and Timon was making fun of Karpov, that he preferred to have a bad bishop and a space advantage to a good knight. And it turned out that probably Karpov was correct. Anyway, it's interesting here that he plays h6. I think Jobava have a great experience in all these lines, and he of course have a lot of ideas. Even though sometimes it looks like he plays weird openings, he is working more than you think on his openings. Knight e7. Okay, so the bishop is secured, and putting the knight in front of it. By the way, it might jump here. And this is part of an interesting regrouping, trying to get his pieces out and be able to castle. In the long run, black is of course going to attack white's center with the c-pawn. Anyway, this is a blitz game, and here it comes. And this is an sort of interesting move, c4. It doesn't fit very well with the knight here on f1. It doesn't make a coherent impression. But the thing is, with the playing c5, with the bishop down here, black is weaker on the white squares. And this square here is what I would call the golden square in the Caro-Kann. This square is almost always important, even if it's very well defended. It is the crucial, the most important strategic square in the whole Caro-Kann, and you better be careful on this square all the time when you're playing black, and you look out to undermine it or pressurize it when you're playing white. I'm gonna do a 5 golden rules of the Caro-Kann, and this is gonna be part of it, that this square d5 is better watch out. Anyway, let's see. and queen b6. And as a general rule, exchanging queens is nice. Getting the pieces out, getting ready to castle. It's nice. Check, and so far. And here, I think black is already probably better. Rook d8, getting ready to castle, and probably having something here. Notice that if he took here, then white would have had this move and take on e5, b6 and e5. And okay, and here it's out. Everything is protected. So this pawn is now officially a weakness. And the thing is with the Caro-Kann, that's also another part of the golden rules, is that in order to play for a win, white will always need to weaken himself. So that's also why it's such a great fighting opening, because you cannot make any holes in black position without weakening yourself. And what that means is that often there will be some weak squares, weak pawns later in the game, and black will be able to launch a vicious counterattack. And that's actually a part of the strategic reason for the Caro-Kann, that this attack is often coming, like we did in the last video on the Hector game. And that was a nice little cheapo here. And by the way, Jobava is sort of an artist. I just, well, this is a great move. Of course, there is this nice X-ray here, and we're gonna see it. Poof! Here it opens, and a lot of things is gonna hang. At the moment, this guy is hanging, and this guy is hanging, and well, and black has won a pawn. Anyway, the reason, so that was kind of cool, and we're just gonna see the next move, and then we're gonna see the finish at the end, because it's very, very nice and a sort of an interesting thematic thing going on. But of course, black is winning here. The ending is just winning. So we have a great bishop and against a weak knight, and a pawn more for black, and a good structure. So just don't mess up. And b4, and this is interesting. So this is typical b5. You're ready for to take away the square from the bishop and winning this pawn, getting serious counterplay. There was a little trick, and we're not finished with the tricks. There's another trick, and here, check, bishop e5. And here Jobava finds a really, really nice way to finish the game. Check. And that didn't matter so much. Take b6, and look at this rook here. It cannot move without being lost. And king b4, f6, undermining the rook. And after, the rook is lost. Now that's a nice little tactic to see in a blitz game, and that also sort of shows the genius of Jobava. Anyway, this was how you can keep up to date with your opening repertoire. Downloading trick, going through the games, finding the heroes, find out what the best players play, look at the eco codes and say which line is critical right now. And because it's gonna change, fashion change, and so does the opening fashion. So sometimes you're very afraid of the advanced variation, and sometimes you're very afraid of the main line, and sometimes it's the Panov attack or the exchange variation. You just have to keep up to date with how is white trying to play against the Caro-Kann right now. Anyway, this was a different kind of a video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. This was GM Talks. Remember to like and subscribe, and tell all your friends about GM Talks.